Hey guys, what's up and welcome to Cycle Smart. Just off the jump, we want to say thanks for joining us. You've signed up for a 6-episode course and we're stoked you're here. We're going to have a lot of fun. In this course, we're going to be covering a number of things related to biking, from bike safety to best practices to drills to common mistakes and how to avoid them. So we're super excited to bring you along for the ride. My name is Andy and I'll be your narrator for all of our classroom sessions. In this episode, the first thing we're going to be covering is helmets, the fit and feel and how they work. Then we're moving on to a simple pre-ride bike check called the ABCs. It's a simple check designed to teach you what to look for and signs that things may need adjustment or replacement. Then finally, we're going to be diving into bike lights, how to set them up, and why they're useful. So without further ado, let's get you acquainted with the coaches.
There, welcome to Cycle Smart here in sunny Whitehorse in the Yukon Territory. My name's Dan.
And my name's Isaac, and we're here on behalf of the Recreation Parks Association of the Yukon. Over the next few video sessions, Dan and I are going to be your coaches.
We're hoping to show you some tips on how to stay safe on the road, how to learn some rules of the road, and how to get a little faster on your bike on the trail, and just generally have more fun on your bike. So let's do up our helmets and get ready to ride.
Fitting up your helmet is arguably one of the more vitally important skills you can have. In this section, we're going to be teaching you how to fit your helmet correctly and what that will look like. We got coaches Dan and Ruben on deck teaching us how it's done.
Here's our new guy, Ruben. He's just joined us from Ontario. And he's going to give us a few tips on how to fit our helmet correctly. I believe mine looks pretty good, Ruben.
Well, Dan, if I'm being honest, it looks quite terrible. But that's why we have this video to help you guys put your helmet on correctly and to stay safe. So the first thing, Dan, that I would like you to do is first to turn your helmet around because it's actually on backwards.
But doesn't it look cooler when it's on backwards?
It does look pretty cool, but cool isn't always safe.
Okay. All
Remember,
right.
stay safe. There, that's much better, Dan.
Cool.
It's better to have the visor in the front than in the back. So first, I want us, when we're putting on our helmet, I want us to make sure that we are covering our foreheads. So a lot of helmets are like this. We don't want that because if we fall forwards, we are going to hit our forehead straight onto the ground.
Or a tree.
Or a tree, correct. So first we want to make sure our helmets are over our foreheads. Our second thing we want to look at is the dial in the back of our helmets. Mine twists, so does Dan. And a good way to know if your helmet fits correctly is if you tighten it onto your head, you undo your buckle underneath your chin, and you put your head upside down and you give your head a shake.
With your hands out, just in case it falls off.
With your hands out. If it falls off your head, that means it's too loose. So mine and Dan's, ours are perfect right now because they did not fall off our heads. And the second thing I want to talk about for helmet safety is our buckle underneath our chin. So for our buckle, we want to be able to have it tight enough so that it can't go over our chin. You can push with 1 to 2 fingers. If I loosen it a bit and it goes over my chin like this, that is too loose. So we want to remember that we can have it tight under our chin so that we can breathe, not cutting into your skin, and that it doesn't go over your chin.
Awesome. Thanks, Ruben. I think I feel safe now. I could crash and I'd be fine. Still there.
Whenever you bring your bike out, you want to have confidence that things aren't going to go sideways on you mid-ride. A great way to do this is a simple bike check. Now there's a lot of different bike checks out there, but we're going to be teaching you an easy one that we do called the ABCs. Our head coach Dan is going to be running us through it and showing us why it's a great idea.
Our friend Ruben's shown us how to put our helmet on properly. And now it's time for us to do a quick check to make sure our bike is safe before we hit the road. We like to do a thing called the ABCs. A, air. B, brakes. C is chain. There's a few little extra things will go in there, but it helps you remember. So first of all, I'm going to check my tire pressure. It feels a little soft on the front there. I can see I have a recommended pressure here of 30 psi. So that's a good place to start. Look on your tire, see where it says the psi, pounds per square inch, how much pressure you need. And then you can go from there. If it's snowy outside or if it's muddy, you can drop some pressure to get a bit more traction. If you're going to be on the road a lot, you may want it higher, near that 30 psi mark. But I think in a minute we'll come back and check that. So my tire's a little soft there. And while I'm around here, I'm just going to check my headset, which is this part here, and twist my bars. Oh, and I can see that's a little bit loose, so we're going to need to come back and adjust that as well. That spins while you're out on the road. Wouldn't be very fun to experience that. All right, brakes, the B part. Gonna test my brakes and check my front brake. It's working well. My lever isn't coming all the way into the bars. We test my back brake. Lever's in a good position. I'm not rolling anywhere, so we know that one's good to go. And then we're gonna go back. We're gonna check our chain. Chain looks in pretty good condition. It's not rusty. I'm gonna check my pedals. Give them a spin. Make sure my cranks aren't loose. Everything seems good there. Pressure on my back tire feels pretty good, pretty solid. Oh, my seat post is a little bit loose, so I think we'll come back and adjust that. And you can do a little thing called the drop check, just lifting your bike off the ground an inch or so. If there's any major clunks, that means there's something loose and we've got to try and fix it. But everything seems pretty good on this bike. My front axle seems tight. My rear axle seems pretty good. I think we'll do a few checks, a few adjustments there, and then we'll be hitting the road. Okay. All right, so here I'm going to take off my valve cap. This is what keeps from dirt getting in there. And this here is a Presta valve type of tube. So I have to unscrew that bit. And you can remember it's a Presta valve by you actually just press the valve in. So that helps you remember which one's which. The other type is called a Schrader valve, kind of what you find on a car. So Presta and Schrader. And you see on the head of my pump here, I've got a small head and a big head. This one's for my Presta valve. I'm going to push it on and then lift up that lever, and then I'm going to get to pumping. So we said it was about 30 psi. I'm going to start pumping here. I actually think 30 psi is a little bit high for what I'm going to be riding, so I'm going to take it up to about 25 psi. Looks pretty good. Pop that off, tighten up the Presta valve, put my valve cap back on, and it's good. Also, my seat post was a little loose when we did the safety check. So what I'm going to do, open up that seat post, just put a quick release clamp, adjust that a little bit, make sure it's straight, and then close that up. That's tight, safe to ride. We discovered earlier that my headset was a little bit loose. You can see I can twist my bars and my wheel isn't moving. So what I'm going to do is align that up, make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, I think that's good. Now, as your bike wears, certain things will become looser. So we need to make sure everything is tight and ready to go. This is a little loose. We're not going to put too much pressure on here, just to make sure that there's no play in the headset. And then we are going to go around. I'm going to get my other Allen key here. I'm going to tighten up the clamp and make sure it doesn't spin. A little more on the top. And there we go. It's not spinning. I think we're good. Okay, put my multi-tool back and then we'll move on. Now we looked at my axles and they had seemed tight and safe, but just to show you the different types of axle, we have this one which is uses an Allen key to tighten it up. So you pop that in there. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. But it seems nice and tight, so we don't need to put any more pressure on there. Some of your axles will have a quick release like my seat post, but you want to make sure that's nice and tight before you get on the road. One of these little multi-tools here, basically everything on here is what I need to fix my bike. You can get these from bike shops or a Canadian Tire, or you can just get yourself a set of Allen keys and you should be good to be able to fix most things on your bike.
Being seen is one of biking's greatest challenges and largest dangers. This next section is dedicated to showing you a couple of tips on how you can be more noticeable while riding. Let's see how this works.
Now we've learned how to adjust our helmet properly, how to do a safety check on the bike. We're almost ready to get out on the road. First of all though, we need to make sure that we can be seen by other road users. Bikes are smaller than trucks, believe it or not. So something like this is going to help you get seen a lot earlier, a lot further away. It may not be the coolest thing in the world ever, but being hit by a car isn't very cool either. So we want to be nice and visible to those around us. And a little extra light might be helpful. See on the back here, I have a rear light, so it's red. We don't want to put a white light on the front because that could be confusing. We got different settings, flashing, static, moving side to side, something that's going to bring a lot of attention to you on the road. And you may think lights are just for the dark, but even in the summertime or in low light conditions or it's cloudy, it is useful to have this on as well. People are going to see you a lot further away. And making sure it's pointing the right direction. If it's pointing down like that, not much use. Now, I put my headlamp on here. This thing's pretty bright, so I want to make sure I'm not pointing it at other road users. I want it going ahead and maybe slightly down so I'm not blinding other people on the road or even pedestrians. There we go, let's turn that guy on. Pretty bright, looks like it's pointing in the right direction. It's a really important thing. If you're going to ride at night, there's no choice but to have a headlight and a tail light. But like I said, even in low light conditions, cloudy conditions in the summer, it is a useful thing to have so people can see you coming. Lastly, need a little eye protection. Today's a nice bright sunny day. Sunglasses going to protect me from debris coming off other car tires or stuff flying off my front wheel, or in the rain you could use a clear one. Something just protect your eyes so you don't end up having an incident in that way. And I'm going to put on my shirt so I'm nice and visible, and I think we're ready to go riding.
Thanks for hanging with us today. Let's just give a super quick recap on what we learned. First, we talked about helmet fit. Our coaches Ruben and Dan showed us how important it is to have a helmet that's fitted properly. It should cover your forehead, it should fit snugly around your head, and your chin strap should be snug and comfortable. Next, Dan ran us through our pre-ride bike check called the ABCs. We checked our tire pressure, brakes, and chain. Remember that our regular bike check will keep your bike in great condition and keep you safe. Finally, we learned about lights and the benefit of having them. Being able to see where you're riding is great. Also, not being run over, that's also great. So make sure your lights are mounted, working, and that you're actually using them. And that's it for episode 1. Thanks for riding with us today, and we'll see you on the next one.